All right, today we're going to be going over the basics of recovery. Now, we're going to break recovery into two categories. The first one is going to be systemic recovery, or our nervous system, our cardiovascular system, and all of that. And then the second one is going to be localized, or our muscle groups and its ability to recover and repair. So first, let's talk about systemic. What we're talking about is our body's ready state, or the percentage at which I can take my full physical and mental capacity and point it towards a new stressful stimulus. You can think of this as a continuum. So if I'm 50%, or I'm like super sick, maybe I'm 10% ready for a new stressful stimulus, then when I start my exercise or I go about my day, I'm going to start to feel very sluggish very quickly. Right? If I'm 100%, I feel sharp and ready to go. And this can be measured in heart rate variability. So this is actually how the Whoop calculates your recovery score, is through your heart rate variability. And this is the time in between your heart rate's beats and how well it can return to a baseline or homeostasis. So when I go into sympathetic nervous system or fight or flight, and I get very stressed out, how fast do I come back to normal? Same thing for parasympathetic. When I start to relax and rest, how fast can I come back to a ready state? If that is very quick and I have a lot of variability, then it means that I'm ready to go. And if it's very slow and I don't have a lot of variability, then it means that I need a little bit more recovery. And how can we improve the recovery in the HRV? First is going to be sleep. That's our time for our body's central nervous system to reset itself. Sleep is extremely important when it comes to the systemic recovery. Then it's going to be nutrition. And this is kind of like a pass-fail, whether I have good nutrition on board or I don't. There's not going to be foods that specifically drive better or worse recovery on the systemic side of things. It's just whether I have enough calories, I have enough macronutrients, I have enough micronutrients on board. If I don't, I'm not going to recover as well. And then it's going to be stress reduction. And this is not only physical stress reduction, it's also psychological stress reduction, because psychologically I can be put into the same fight or flight as if there's a tiger next to me and I need a fight or flight. Or if I'm in traffic and I don't have anywhere to go, those are still the same neurological positions in the body, right? So they're the same states. And I need to be able to get myself not only to a rest recovery day for my body and for my muscles, but also for my nervous system. I need to get myself out of stressful situations, and so I can be recovered. You might see that on your Whoop, you're after a rest day or after a good night's sleep, you're not fully recovered because you're still in that sympathetic state. Maybe you're getting sued at work and you're pulling your hair out and you're like, but I slept great and I didn't work out, but my recovery is still low. It's because you're still under stress. And then a really good resource for you to learn more about this is if you listen to the Whoop Recovery podcast. They have a podcast going over all how the heart rate variability is calculated and a lot of the things that they see that can really influence that in a positive way. On the local side, we're thinking about the specific muscles and, more importantly, the specific cells in those muscles. There's points in the cells that are actually designed to break under stress. And then hypertrophy is when we put more extra material and proteins and amino acids in there, and it's built a little bit bigger. So you can think about this as repairing a wall in your house, right? If I want to make my house a little bit wider and I break it in half and I put more bricks in the center, then it's going to be bigger at the end, right? But for that to happen, I need the repair, and I need the bricks to be there and the builders to be there. So the tissue repair of the specific cells is what we're talking about. How we can measure this is soreness and capacity. So if I'm really sore and I can do the touch test and it feels like tender and tight, or if I start to move and I don't feel very strong, Maybe this is capacity is on the side of things where you don't have a lot of tissue damage, like you're not doing necessarily bodybuilding, but if you're doing running and you feel like you have a lower capacity, but you're not feeling very sore, probably means that you still aren't recovered locally, right? So how we can improve these is, again, sleep. This is where our body lays down those bricks, right? But we need the material there. That's where the nutrition comes in. And this is where protein becomes so important, because if I have all my builders standing around and I have a house that's broken in half and it needs to be rebuilt and there's no bricks, then they can't do anything, right? So we need to give our body protein so that it can repair. And then hormonal stimulus is another thing. That's kind of how fast the builders will work and the capacity at which they can build, right? So if I have a lot of testosterone on board and my human growth hormone's really high, then it means that I'm going to be have that muscle protein synthesis or repairing the muscle very quickly. And if I don't have a lot of testosterone on board, my workers aren't very motivated, then I'm going to repair it a little bit slower. And then blood flow is a big one too. This is how we get the materials to the specific place. So let's say I'm just really sore in my biceps and I need to get the food in from my mouth, digest it, and then get all that stuff over to here. The best thing I can do is increase blood flow, because that's the transportation system. So if I just get it moving a little bit and start to get blood through the area, then I will have vasodilation, which means I'll have a little bit more volume of blood going through. And then if I increase my heart rate, then it'll also increase systemically how much blood I have moving around. And if I can get my blood out from my core to my extremities, that also is going to help. So just light movement is going to really increase how much we're going to recover. And then damage reduction. And this is going to be giving your body a break, right? So the soreness and the capacity is where we can tell whether our body is ready for more damage or not. If I'm super sore and I'm tender and I start to move some weight and then it feels really heavy that day, I should not keep damaging it. It's not repaired, okay? It's still broken. All I'm going to do is break more, but the recovery and the repair is what makes us bigger, faster, stronger. The breaking does not make us bigger, faster, stronger. So those are the basics on recovery. We're going to have more videos talking about some specific things, maybe debunking some of the common recovery tools out there and focusing a little bit more on the basics.